welcome back to my channel. Excuse me. So I thought I'd have a play with one, maybe two things. I really need to finish this image. I absolutely love the way this is coming out. I have several parts to this already where I worked on this and then I worked on this, and so there's like 3 other parts. I know it's a lot, but I didn't want to do too much in one sitting and then have like the video be like, you know, 6 hours long, because it's actually somewhat of a complex picture, more than people think. But what I thought I'd do today is I had debated on having a play with these watercolors that I got at, are you ready for this? Walgreens. In there, which is like a drugstore here in America. You know, CVS, Walgreens, that kind of thing. I got this in their art section. Sorry, that was a little loud. Anyway, I got this in their art section, and it was like $8.99. This is really cute. It comes with the little water brush and, you know, the little sponge to wipe it on. I thought this is super cute. You know, portable travel size. I was like, for $9 in a drugstore. So yeah, and I may or may not have a go with this. This may end up being its own video entirely. I got this in about a week ago, and I've just been kind of sitting on it. I've been wanting this like so bad for so long, and I finally just bit the bullet and got it. But yeah, I'm like loving this. I want some more inktense blocks, but right now I'm just, you know, gonna have to make do. And this I thought would be also a good thing to take with me when I go up to visit my daughter this Christmas, which I'm so excited about. Sorry, I get off the sidetrack. She just had a baby about 3.5 months ago, and I have not met him yet, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, I thought this would be a fun thing to play around with. Maybe do the like the inner circle. I might save the outer circle for like the Inktense, because the thing with Inktense is, unlike this, the Inktense is permanent. So while you can get like a battery operated eraser and kind of erase it, or not erase it, lighten it, you know, you basically can take a layer of the paper off and lighten it. You're not gonna completely get rid of it. So, you know, you really do have to be careful when you're using Inktense. This, I thought I'd play around with first. So I'm going to open this, and I'm going to fill up the water brush, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So, I mean, how cool is this, right? It was $9, and it comes in this little tin that you can, I guess, use the lid for the water, because you can see where it's kind of divided. It's a little warped though, which is weird. I don't know if you could tell. It's a touch warped for some reason, but anyway, yeah, that's weird. Maybe I need to give it a good bend. Huh. Well, there's going to be hiccups, you know, with something like this. So anyway, once I get this flattened out, you can see where it's got the little dividers to sort of help keep things separated. I don't know if I'm going to use that right now, because for whatever reason, I don't know why it's doing this stupid thing, but hold on. Let's see if I can get this straightened out. Oh, that's not too bad. Let's try that. It's not too bad. So I have that for the water. Now, even though I'm probably going to largely be using water brushes, I'm still going to have some regular water brushes on hand. Let's see. And I'm also going to still need a thing of water. And I painted this, by the way. Isn't that gorgeous? I sealed it, and yeah, came out pretty good, didn't it? So if you would like to know how I did this, let me know in the comments. I have thought about doing a video on it. It's really not that hard. Just takes patience and time. So anyway, on to this. So I have filled this with water, and I do have this handy, as you can see. This is amazing, by the way. It's extremely heavy and very breakable, but it is amazing. I first saw Emily Illustrator with one of these, and she posted a link in the chat for it. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I may put some of my color onto this instead of the tin, because you see all these little spots where you can put all kinds of things. It's amazing. So, and then I have this, of course, which I got at the dollar store. This is like a set of 3. These things come in so handy for, like, you know, when I'm doing streams, I can kind of keep my stuff handy, but, you know, organized and not, you know, falling all over my desk and whatnot. So, but anyway, so let's see. Not bad. I think, I think I might like to work on this background a little bit, because I don't think I want to do it in permanent ink. So I'm going to have a go at this. Let's see. And with water brushes, always have something like this handy, or a paper towel. You just literally never know when this will come in handy. Highly recommend it. And my little sponge came out. There. So let's see. I think some blue, maybe. Now, I had thought about using some Caran d'Ache type neos on this, and I'm not sure. Kind of winging it here. So let's see what. Oh yeah, another thing with these things right here is you can mix stuff. I can post a link in the description if anybody wants it. I'll go to my Amazon. I'm not sure if the shortened links that I'm going to this website to get the links shortened, I'm not sure if it's working or not. Kind of new to that. So I think, though, instead of doing a background, I think I'm actually going to work on this leaves here, because I think this palette right here, it's a pretty good rate for $8.99 in a drugstore. It's actually got a decent range of colors. It's, you know, you got your red, kind of it looks like an orangey red, and you got your nice bright orange, a nice bright yellow, a couple shades of green, nice medium blue. And like if you mix these two blues, you could get a nice like ultramarine probably. And the white, the brown. You know, it's a nice range of colors for being what it is. So, and I hope you'll pardon this. Isn't this the coolest thing? I got this off of Amazon. Because I have really bad vision issues. And sometimes I need to blow things up a little bit so that I can make sure that I get within the lines properly. I don't always see that great. And yes, I have glasses, but they not always enough. So I think I'm going to work on that instead. So let's try starting with a little yellow, I think. And but with these little water brushes, you want to give like a little squeeze, but not a heavy squeeze, just to get the water going. See, I didn't need too much. And you can do it straight from the palette here, or you can, if you want to mix your colors, you can put it onto something like this, or even onto this tin. I think you could do that. So I may try both just to see how it works with these, but it's picking up the color quite well, actually. Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Let me adjust my thing a little bit there. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's put this over here for now. And see how this goes. Ooh, that's really vibrant. That's pretty vibrant, y'all. I'm actually kind of impressed for being like drugstore watercolors. This is pretty vibrant. I mean, of course, I'm picking it straight up from the palette, but this is pretty vibrant. I'm totally impressed. This is so beautiful. This is almost like a cadmium yellow, I think, in my opinion, or bright yellow. Something in that vicinity. This is gorgeous. Wow. That is really pretty. Rinse out my brush. And I have to admit, I really, really love the brush that it came with, because it's got that perfect shape. Like it's pointed. It comes to a nice point, so you can do like detail. But yet it has a wide area, so that if you wanted to lay it down and do a wider area with it, you could. This is actually really perfect. The barrel's a little small, but it is a travel set. So, you know, there's that. So what you want to do too, if you don't want these to blend, is either get your heat gun or your little, like this little blow dryer. Y'all, this thing is amazing. It is. I wouldn't use this on my hair, to be frank. Even on low, I have to pull my hand out like way out. I've gotten my fingers singed a little. It is absolutely incredible, the heat that comes out of this thing. It's by Berta. This thing is small but mighty. So I'm going to pause this and dry this a little bit, and I will be back. Okay, sorry about the jiggle there. Sometimes when I'm unpausing my video, I sort of shake the my little arm, swing arm. Sorry about that. So let's move on. And with this blow dryer, it took me maybe a minute on low. It's so strong. It's absolutely incredible. So moving on, let's try a little orange. I think I'm going to try to sort of go after this a little bit. That actually came out really amazing. I believe I did it with derwent inktense, I think. It's on video. I think it's on part 1. So let's pick it up right from here, because it'll be intense, and you don't need to squeeze too hard with these. If it's a good water brush, which this seems to be. Now if you want to dilute it so it's not so intense, you can lay it down in one of these little things or something of that sort, so it's not as intense. And I think I need my glasses. Hold on a second. Oh, okay, there we go. It might be a little intense. It's sort of overtaking the yellow a little bit. Now, one other thing too, keep handy, sorry for the reach, is a little Q-tip. See? Basically, so if your thing bleeds, you can grab your Q-tip and just kind of, you know, do that, and it kind of keeps it from going too far past what you want. You have to be careful with these water brushes. You don't need to push very hard at all, especially if it's a decent watercolor brush or water media brush like this one is. I'm barely touching it and it's coming out. Now, one thing you can do, if it's too much, like this is a little much, just take your Q-tip and kind of go like this. And it kind of, I mean, you can still see some watercolor there, but it's kind of lightening a little bit so that it's not so intense. And it seems to be drying pretty fast now. It did kind of bleed a little bit, but it's still within the general outline, so. See, you see how by doing that with the Q-tip, it kind of just picks up that excess watercolor. And I'm not too worried that it's gone into the outline part because I'm going to be going over that anyway. You see how that, and not only did it sort of pick up the extra that I didn't want in there, but it's also helping to dry it. And it's sort of mixing the colors together a little bit in a way that is more natural. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try putting some of this in the tin, and I'm going to rinse my brush out, and I'm going to pick it up from here, and I'm going to put it into the tin a little bit and just kind of rinse my brush out again and see if that doesn't kind of lighten it a little bit. And the fact that it's still a little warped doesn't seem to be making a difference, but you see how easily the water's coming out. Another thing too with this one, it's like the Caran d'Ache. It rotates on and open the opposite way. I'm trying to think counterclockwise or clockwise. It's like the opposite of what is normal. Instead of going this way, it goes this way. It's annoying. It's very annoying because your instinct is to go this way, not this way. So let's see if this makes it a little less. And you also got to go quickly too, because the longer you leave it on the page, the more you're going to get down. So the more water is going to come out. So I'm just wiping my brush on this rag and trying to pick up some more of the color this way. Now I want to grab my Q-tip. Wow. You see the difference that made? Now, I'm going to do, that's quite the difference. I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow from here and I'm going to put it onto here. And I'm going to actually mix these two. That's what this little tin I think is really for. It's supposed to be a travel size version of this thing, which is not very portable. And if you drop it, it's going to probably shatter. So, and I definitely want this a little stronger on the outside. I'm telling you, using art watercolor brush is really, there is a learning curve. I'm not even going to lie. I still sometimes struggle with them. It is a huge learning curve, without a doubt. I'm going to take some more of this yellow and sort of reinsert some of this yellow into here. Just a little bit. And I'm using watercolor paper. I don't remember if it's Canson or Strathmore. It's one of the two, probably. But I also have some Blick watercolor paper that is actually really nice. Now, this is the artist edition, which is why it's so big and it's on such sturdy paper. This paper can take a lot. It can absolutely take a lot. It's kind of incredible. All right, so I'm going to bring a little more orange into here. You want to squeeze a little just to kind of clean up. If you don't have like a water thing to clean out your brush, one way you can do it is just to squeeze your brush like this. And eventually, you see how the tip is kind of cleaning up? That's one way you can do it. If you don't have something like this handy. Like say you're out in the field painting dandelions. That's one way you can do it. I am totally digging this little watercolor set. I mean, $9, guys. $9 from Walgreens in their art section. It's really, really nice. I mean, is it, you know, like this high-end stuff, you know, from Winsor & Newton? No, probably not. But, I mean, unless you're a professional artist, this would totally do for your average, you know, colorist. I think this would, especially if you're traveling and you want to bring something with you, this would totally do. Now, what you got to do is be careful when you're... I'm going to pick some up directly. I want a little more intensity. So when you want some little more intensity, you pick it directly from the palette. Now, I have to be careful here because, as you can see, it is going a little too far into the outline. And I don't want to... I want it to stay within the outline. So... you see how you can just push the ink around? This is actually, I'm thoroughly impressed. I would highly recommend this. Now, I don't know if Walgreens is worldwide, but this is pretty decent, guys. It really is. This is something I would definitely recommend. And you just take your little thing and just make sure that it doesn't go past where you want it. And also, as I said before, this is also one way to kind of blend it and yet sometimes at the same time pick up the excess water and color. See what I mean? This is pretty cool. I'm actually thoroughly enjoying this set. This is good. It's totally doable. Yeah. I don't know. I would imagine you could probably find it on Amazon, but Walgreens in the art section. Now, I know for a fact that one I got too much orange on. I picked it up straight from the palette and I got way too much. So, I think what I'm going to do is grab... this is kind of a reddish brown, which actually, if you can see it, this may actually work in my favor. I'm going to pick it up from here, but I'm going to put it down here. So, these are really nice. And it's got a little thing if you wanted to dab it, you could. And it comes out as you saw earlier. So that's kind of, yeah, that's like a sienna brown almost, I would think. So, what I'm going to do, I think... ooh, look at that. I mixed it with this orange yellow. Oh, that's nice. Needs a little more orange, maybe. So I'm just going to do that. Bring a little more of that in. This is such a cool little set. It is proof that you don't have to spend a ton of money to get nice art supplies. I mean, if you were a professional artist, I could see, you know, it being a thing. Oh, that really did blend out. I gotta let that dry a little bit. And that's why you should always have a towel handy. Now, what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to put this down and grab my little brush. This is a Princeton brush. They are number 4. And I'm just going to grab some of this paint, because it's kind of going where a little too far to where I don't want it to. And that one's dried. Okay. And it is very important, especially with the regular watercolor brushes, that you take care of them. I have like pink soap that I use with my more nicer ones, and then stand them upright. Because especially when I've seen watercolor brushes go for unbelievable amounts. It's like, are you kidding, guys? Yeah. Sorry, I think I want this. It was like, really? That's just crazy. Oh, that's like yeah, that's definitely like a sienna brown. Now, if you wanted to make this a darker brown, you could mix this with a little black, and you would probably get something resembling that. Ooh. And make sure you don't get too much water there. Oh, that's actually pretty nice. Now I'm going to bring back in some of this yellow. Sometimes it's good just to use the regular watercolor brushes so that you can control the water a little more. It's really hard to control the amount of water that you get with watercolor brushes, because the water brushes, these sorry, it's really difficult to control the amount of water that comes out. I still struggle with it. So when in doubt and I've got too much water already on where I don't want any more, I just pull out this, get it a little wet, but not too wet. And if you get, that's why I say Q-tips also are handy. If you get too much, like a different paint on it, just take your Q-tip and kind of dab it like that. And that will kind of sort of control that a little bit. And what I'm doing here is just trying to bring in some of that yellow back into the center and sort of blend the colors a little bit. So I'm going to pause it and give it a dry and be back. Okay, I is back. So I dried this a little bit, so it's not quite so wet. That's really important too when you do that, to kind of make sure that it's a little dry, because otherwise it'll just keep spreading out and you'll have a ruined thing. So what I'm going to do now though is pull out, I think, this, because I want to do something and I need my Inktense. So this is a 24 Inktense pan studio set. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this thing. Oh, love this. This is phenomenal. And I think what I might do here is a little comparison between, whoops, sorry, wrong way. Between like a generic set such as this to, if I can get the lid off. Oh, for crying out loud. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with the lid. There we go. Okay. As you can see, this is totally unused. This is so pretty. I love this so much. And I love how it's sealed too. This is phenomenal. So let's get this off. Well, this may be easier said than done. Hold on, guys. Okay, sorry about that. I had to grab ye olde knife. This thing, by the way, is amazing. I got it at Michael's in their like Cricut Center, and it has a little hole here which you could probably hang it up. You know, string something through and hang it up. This thing is super dangerous. That is mega sharp. So if you get this, be very careful. you could do some damage with that thing. So having said that, I'm going to continue to, I'm going to actually use a smaller brush. So I'm going to put this one that came with the generic set aside after I give it a rinse. Always put your caps on. So I think I'm going to grab one of my detail brushes. Let's see, where are you? I have two. Okay, I have smaller watercolor brushes, the water barrel ones, but I want to be able to control the amount of water that comes out of this. So this one is Princeton right here. Velvet Touch, which is a brand from Hobby Lobby. And I think this one is Winsor & Newton, which everybody knows who they are. So I'm not going to use this just yet. But looky, isn't that pretty? Looky, look at that pretty. So pretty. And it comes with sherbet lemon, sun yellow, mango, bright orange, cherry, poppy red, and I'm going from this side over. Fuchsia, dark plum, violet, navy blue, ultramarine, bright blue, turquoise, teal green, racing green, which is a great color, Ionian green, also a great color, hooker's green, and the guy that invented it or came up with it, his last name was Hooker. So there's been tons of jokes about that one. Kiwi, burnt yellow, ochre, red oxide, natural brown, Payne's gray, and ink black, and antique white. So, and there's no straight up white, there's just an antique white. That's the closest you'll get to a white in the Inktense. It's irritating, but what can you do? So I'm going to push this aside and get my water over here. And be careful when you use your thing to fold it over and have a clean side to either set your brushes down on or to wipe your brush off of them. You don't want to use the same side because you might end up picking up some of the old color. Trust me, been there, done that, and it's annoying. So, having made sure that was dry. Another thing too, make sure test it whether it's like fully dry. If it's cool to the touch, it's still a little bit wet. So, just kind of go like that. And if it's, you know, like normal room temperature or whatever, then it's probably good. But I am going to do an outline. And I could break out my pencils, but I wanted to show off this set because it's amazing. So, I think, let's see, we have mango. This looks way lighter than this. So it must be an activated thing, perhaps. It's interesting. Because you see how these are not in order. Oh. Well, crap. That's interesting. Okay. Just a little heads up, guys. This right here, this little thing, is not the order they're actually in on the tray. How freaking annoying is that? Why would they do that? I don't know if these come out or not, but I'm gonna find out. You know, this has nothing to do with my page, but it looks like they might. Because it looks like they might come apart, to be honest. Whoops, that didn't work. Let's see. I kind of, oh, there we go. Well, that wasn't quite what I wanted, but, oops. Wow. So, these might be refillable, guys. So you see how that came apart like that? These might be refillable. I'll look into it. But, yeah, they are not in the order that they're shown here. Crap, that's irritating. So this is probably kiwi, and this is probably hooker's green. Oh my goodness, that's annoying. You would think that they would be in order. Okay. So now I'm going to have to figure out what's what. I think this is red. This right here I think is poppy red, I think. And I'm looking for the red oxide, which is this one. I think it's this one right here. Oh my goodness, y'all. That's... I'm severely annoyed. Sorry. I'm like, what is happening here? So I'm going to activate it a little, and because you can't tell. Okay, that's really purplish. So that is fuchsia. I'm looking at that going, yeah, that's fuchsia. So this one right here is fuchsia. Do you see how different it is, though, between wet and unactivated? It's completely different. So that is definitely not what I want. Wow. Where's the red oxide? And I'm missing my red oxide pencil, so I can't do a comparison, but that is definitely not it. So I'm just going to let that dry naturally. I don't want to lift any more ink off of the little ink thingy. Wow. Maybe this is it. Let's see. Do a little test. Let's see. I got too much water on that. That might be it. No, that's cherry. Are you guys beginning to see how different they are? I think this is cherry. Let's look how bright that is versus the unactivated and the activated. I think this is cherry right here. Wow, that's stunning, the difference, isn't it? Like, they're almost completely different. Yikes. And I think this is the activated version. So this is really good, but this is a whole nother beast. So, wow. Let's try this one. I think this might be it, actually. Yeah, I think this is the red oxide. It's this one right here. So, yep, that's the red oxide. That is definitely the red oxide. Yep. So, don't go by this. If you get this set, and don't necessarily assume that this is the order that they're in. Just a heads up. I think this is the red oxide right here. And these do come out with a bit of effort, as you saw. So I think they're refillable. I'm going to go on to Derwent's website and look into it. Look at that. Yep. Now I just basically mixed the red oxide and this one. Oh my gosh, that is gorgeous, actually. It's a little too purplish than what I want, but still it's a pretty color. It's almost like a mahogany. That's not quite what I want though. So I'm going to wipe that off. Rinse out my brush. Yeah, that's the red oxide. That's what I want. And also, when you're using these, keep an eye on your barrel. If you have just dipped it in the water like that, keep an eye on your barrel, because do you see the water that's droplet that's forming on the underside of the barrel? You see how it's traveling down the ferrule and onto the brush? Now what's going to happen is, if you're working on something and I'm shaking it to sort of move it along, because you see how it's at the end of the brush now, the bristles? That's going to drop onto whatever you're working on. So if you don't want that, I would be very careful and make sure you either tap your brush or wipe it on the little sponge thingy that they have here. That's what it's for. I highly recommend it. I've done that many times and gotten very annoyed. Look at that. That's the perfect color. So, oops. And I have ink on it, on my hand. So, let's go back to the red oxide. Yeah, isn't that a gorgeous color? And I'm not really dipping it back into the water because I want it to be strong. And I want it to be very defined. These aren't as defined as the ones down at the bottom, and that's okay. You know, I don't want them to be exactly the same. That would be boring and not realistic. And while I'm certainly not the most realistic artist out there, I know a few things, I guess. The other thing is, the more you work with the ink that's on your brush, the more faded it's gonna become, the more diluted the color's gonna become. So what you can do is go back to where it's the heaviest and just pick it up from there. But it does dry pretty fast. So, but you see how I'm picking it up and it's kind of darkening that. So that's one thing you can do. But as I said, beware, it does dry pretty quickly, which is really nice, but it can also be irritating. So I'm going to go back to here, and I'm not dipping it, I'm not re-dipping it in the water or anything of that sort. I'll probably finish these leaves and do a lot of the rest of it off screen, with the exception of the background, which I will probably save for another video. And see, I could use this little sponge, but you know, I think that's kind of, if you're out in the field or whatever, or maybe in a motel room and you want to work on it, you know, you don't want to use their towels and then get charged, you know, money for the towels, even though they're usually pretty crappy. That little sponge thing will probably come in handy. You see how strong it is up there? Because that's the place that I am going to have to get a little water. That's the place I first picked up the ink. And so that's where it's going to be its strongest. Oh, and I see the water coming at the barrel. I'm going to give that a tap, try and get rid of some of that water. Unless you're doing something like, see how that did, see what I mean? I didn't tap it enough, and you see what happened? It's not a bad thing, but it's not what I wanted. And there's still water in the barrel. It's not wanting to come off. There. That actually looks kind of pretty. I may have to incorporate that in a little bit. See, now that there's not quite so much ink on it, I'm going to actually try and incorporate a little bit of this red oxide in. Just a little bit, like a hint maybe, just to bring out some depth. I want this a little bit firmer. You have to be careful. This stuff does spread out, so kind of gotta be careful. I'm just kind of taking some of the excess that's on the brush and sort of adding depth. Wow, that actually looks pretty good. I like that. So, you know, I could do more for the same for the rest of them, but it's kind of the same principle. I think you get the idea. There's a time and a place for the water fillable brushes, and then there's a time and a place for the regular brushes. You know, they each have their own benefits and drawbacks. So that's why I wanted to show you both. And I think that this also has its place. This is such a cool little set. I think it was Art 101, something like that. I'll have to look it back up because it's on the little label. It's not on the tin. I'll put it in the description for sure. This is totally a nice set. I mean, the little water brush that came with it is really nice. I mean, for being just a cheap little set, it just, you know, goes right in there. And it's really nice. Oh, see, and it's in there nice and sturdy, so you don't have to worry about things flying around. So if you live near Walgreens, I would hunt this down. Totally hunt that down. And this, well, this was a little expensive. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't like outrageous. It wasn't like Winsor & Newton kind of thing. But it wasn't super cheap either. It has its place also. I wanted to get something that wasn't necessarily a pencil, that I could do a little more mixing with. You can mix with the pencils. It's just a little bit harder, in my opinion, for me, than to do it the way I just did. I think that looks absolutely gorgeous. And I'm probably going to fill these out off camera. But yeah, I think these both definitely have their place. I gotta clean the inside of that up. But these both have their place. This is just regular watercolor, and then this is the permanent inktense. One's $9, and the other, I'm trying to remember, was in the 40s to 50s, I believe. Something of that sort. So I'll put it in this description for sure. You know, they're really both definitely have their place. And as you can see, they work very well together. You know, so yeah, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to do the rest of this probably in a little speed color kind of thing, and I may work on a little bit more of this, and I guess that will be it. Happy coloring, everyone. Okay, so I have finished the picture, and I thought I would go over what I did. When I last left off, I had worked on the rest of this, I believe, up here. So I'm going to go over what I did, and it is finished. So for in here, for this part right here, I used a mix of different things. I used some gelatos. I think I have the gelatos. I used a whole bunch of different things. Let's see if I can find my gelatos. And the reason why this is in a bag is just because I lost the lid. Yeah. So it's just the white that the Faber Pastel gelato has. It's their just, I don't know, regular white. And let's see if I can get my glasses on. This is from their pastels, and it's fig. And blue sapphire. This is a lovely color. This, as I said, this is from the iridescence. This is absolutely lovely, guys. I mean, I don't know if you can tell on if it shows, but it's a lovely color. I also used a few other things, but I used a bunch of stuff on this blue background to try and get a nice gradient. It was hard. And I almost messed it up twice. This is also from the Iridescence Aquamarine. This is also a very lovely color. Really nice. And this is elderberry. It's from their pastels. It's like almost like a periwinkle. And then this one is Blue Moon. This color is absolutely stunning, you guys. Look at that shine. This color is amazing. So, I also used some white type king art, which is, I gotta pull that out. Let's see. I'll pull out my king arts that I used. Or not king arts, excuse me. Scratch that. I did not actually use king arts this time, which is a shocker. Forgot to pull these out, my bad. These are the Lyris. And these are also very nice. Excuse me. If you're looking for a substitute for Neo 2s, these are excellent. It comes in a tin like this. Excuse the reflection. I think this is the largest set. I'm not 100% sure. But it's a really nice range of colors. So these are an excellent alternative. I mean, granted, there's not as many, but let's see. I didn't use as much of this one as I thought I would, but it is night green. This is a very, very nice, almost a dark teal. Really nice color for when you want to add depth. It's almost this color without the shine. And I'll get to that background in a minute. That's a whole nother story. And let's see. This is blue cobalt. Really nice. I used that a lot for right in here. Then they're white, and it's, as you can see, I got it a little messy. And this is True Blue. All right, I cannot read small print like that without a little help. True Blue. This is an excellent color. I did that a lot up here toward the top. And let's see. Prussian Blue. Also, this I used more toward the bottom. And I believe this is their light blue. These are very, very nice colors. I really like the Lyra as a nice alternative to Neo 2s. I also use this for when you take your and excuse the fact that this is dirty, but the rough side, I scratched these out and ended up not nuding them, and I don't want to waste the and it's not like I can put it back. So I just kind of left it alone, but I rubbed it on here, got it a little wet, not too much, and then just kind of did this, and basically, and was same with the white, and just kind of did that sort of thing. And then I used a little white pastel to kind of blend it in, and I just kind of kept layering until I was happy with it. And I really thought I was gonna screw it up for a bit. I was like, "Arr." Okay, so that's that. And now the thing that I did for, oops, and I just dropped something, sorry, gelato down. Anyway, what I used for this part right here, I thought so long and hard about this part right here, just this chartreuse kind of side. I thought so long and so hard. I must have stared at this picture for 20 minutes trying to figure out how I wanted to do something lighter, but not too light so that, you know, the yellow flowers didn't show up, and not so dark that things matched up. I mean, to where it covered them up, you know. So I know this one is kind of crappy looking. I'm sorry. It's you can tell well used. And the reason why I'm going through this is because it's important. These are pastel pencils from Stabilo. Excellent. I actually would recommend these. Oh, I broke one. I would recommend these over Derwent, to be honest with you. Derwent's, you know, bigger. They got more lead, so you can cover larger areas if you want to. But that's kind of, to me, what the stick pastels are for. But these are really nice. The leads don't break and fall off or fall out like nearly as much as the Derwents do. And I love Derwent, don't get me wrong. I love almost all their stuff. But that is the one thing about their pastel pencils that I do not like, is that they tend to break and fall out super, super easy. Drives me bonkers. So I would recommend Stabilo. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because when you're looking at this and you're trying to decide how you're going to do a part of your picture, and you're like, get stuck, you get like the equivalent of writer's block. I call it artist block. And of course, you know, my husband is of no help whatsoever. He just kind of, it's a squirrel. Just like, "Arr." So I was on my own. So I pulled out this. And I looked at my palette that I have all around this yellow part, right? I looked at what I have here, which is basically, I would say 90% warm tones with a little bit of cool tone, like in the flower maybe, but it's still, this is a little bit cool down here. And parts of it are borderline cool, but it's warm to super warm. So I knew that I could go on the cool side as long as I did it really thoughtfully. I didn't want to do red or orange or brown because I already got enough of that, and if I did that, then these things wouldn't. And I feel like I did a really good job on these. So I wanted them to pop. I almost wrecked those little leaves, though. I gotta tell you, I got a bunch of this blue stuff all over them and almost wrecked it. I was like, no! It took me so long to fix that, you have no idea. But I looked at my color wheel and I was like, well, And I just kind of held it up to all the different elements that are around here. And I said, well, what is going to be light? Because I wanted this light so that this would look like it's sunk in a little bit. And that's one of the keys with a picture like this. If you want this part of it to pop out, then you want to do the middle part like a nice gradient, light to dark. You don't want to do it all dark, just like all one flat dark, because then it's just going to look flat. But if you do a little bit of dark right at the very top, and then light, and then you just gradient it down to dark, and then you do this part, a light, it's gonna, as you can see, it kind of looks like the squirrel is popping off the page. Or it should anyway. So I just kind of went around and I kind of did this, and I'm looking at this going, well, that's kind of somewhere between these two. It's more this though. And I'm holding it up to all of this stuff and I'm going, yeah, you know, that has a nice, it kind of, and the thing is, if you look, this is why. If you see where this is right here, okay, and you see the little triangles, okay, I have the point here because that's my starter, right? If you go to any one of these two triangles, the skinny one or the fat one, if you go to for example, this is right, and this are right next to it, and that's these right here, basically, okay, right next to it. This is right next to it, and this is right next to it, and then that is kind of out here, and this, and it's right next to that. Do you see what I mean? So, and if I'm going back to this, if you follow the arrow, I don't know if you can see it here. If you follow this line, see where it leads to the red? And that's this right here. And if you follow, if you put this over here, say that's some of this, actually it's more of this, and you follow the arrow, do you see where it goes? The little triangle lines? Follow these. So basically, wherever I put it in one of these things, it has a connection to some other part on the, either right next to the color, to it on the color wheel, which makes it analogous, or over here, which, if I'm get my terms right, is complementary. There, yeah. I wanted to make sure, yeah. So that's why, and I highly recommend one of these, or if you want to go really fancy, you could go here. This thing is amazing, y'all. I got this off Amazon. I've seen Lori from Color My World use a color wheel like this. Now, she had this part of it off. Like, she took that part of it off of it. I prefer to leave mine like it because it just kind of helps separate it for me. Yeah, it's dirty. But this side is basically like pastel-ish tones. And then this side is more on the like brighter primary side. So, but this is amazing. And you can see the big triangle, then the small triangle. And this one does not have the other stuff that this one does. Like the little, this stuff where it kind of is a square that kind of folds. It doesn't have that, but that's okay. That's more than I think most people need to know. But yeah, this is super amazing, and it's made in America too. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, that's how I decided on these. So, and these don't have names, which is really annoying. But it is, this one is, let me make sure I read it right, 560. This is the main color right here. And then I used a little bit of 570. And then the white. So, now, for what I did with a lot of this, like, pretty much all of it, I touched it up with my Lumis. I'll move my squirrel for just a second. People have varying degrees of opinions on these, but I touched up almost all of this except for that background with varying degrees of these Lumis. I used all kinds of the yellows, browns, oranges, you know, a lot of the blues, which I used on the background here too. Not the background, this background right here. I did use some of the Lumis on that as well. But some of these are extra, sorry, but I highly recommend investing in these. They are kind of scratchy, so if you don't like scratchy, this might bother you. But they have such an amazing opaqueness and blendability that it just, I'm sorry Prisma, but it puts these in terms of blendability and smushiness. Now it smushes in a different way than Prisma, so but to me, I think these put Prisma to shame. They are absolutely amazing. Amazing. So, back to this. So I kind of just fiddled with this part until I was happy with it, and fiddled with this part of it. Then for the background, I did these. Now, if you like lots of glitter, I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if you can see the sparkles. It's very subtle. I meant to not be kind of, you know, in the face kind of thing. I meant it to kind of just add to and not take over. But this is Dragonfly, and it is a glaze. And a glaze is something that you like add to, like say for example, and this has a blue like base to it. It's really cool. Like it's basically white, but there's like a blue undertone to it. It's really cool. You can see a little bit right there where it's dried on the thing. So I highly recommend if you want something that's glittery but not like, oh my god, glittery, oh my gosh, glittery, you know, like this for example. I also used a little bit of this by Full Cart, and this is also by Full Cart. This is, oh my gosh, glittery. I mean, that is, oh my gosh, glittery. I've got several versions of these, and it is called Extreme Glitter. It's by, yeah, Full Cart, but it's plaid. And I used just a touch of this color shift, again by Full Cart. This is also something that is very, very cool. You can tell by that it kind of changes depending on how you look at it. It's super cool. And then this was the base, and this is teal. And you can see that is a gorgeous, gorgeous color. I was nervous, and I just mixed all this together. I was nervous because I wanted it to go with, but not take over, and it kind of did in a way take over because it's so shiny. I did not realize it was going to come out quite that shiny. I think I blame the glaze, honestly. I think I used a little too much of the glaze. So, you know, for future reference, I would think if you're going to use this, myself included, maybe less is more with this. I think I just used too much. But overall, it blends with this, but it doesn't completely take over. And I mean, it is super shiny. That's the only part I don't like. It's a little too shiny. But yeah, I used a lot of inktense on this, and then you know, I just added with the colored pencils and the gelatos and a little this and a little that. Just, you know, you got to tinker with it, and you don't have to use Lumis. You can use whatever color pencils you want to just. I do that because when I was doing this part especially, I got a lot of the blue stuff on things, like on here. This still isn't quite the same. I couldn't quite get it all off. And the one thing that I was glad that I did is I did all of this right here, is including this in a base of Inktense. So if I were to cover it up with something else, I can erase that, what I covered it up with, which is what I did a lot in here, right in here, because I have my this, and I was able to use that and get off some of the blue stuff that had covered it up, at least some of it, and to expose that Inktense base, which didn't get erased so much because it's permanent. So if you're going to do a picture like this, where it has kind of a complicated center, I would suggest getting the Inktense, either block, pencil, whatever, and do a base of your picture in the Inktense. Not only will it make the picture go faster, but that way if you want to go back and touch up, you don't have to worry about it completely being erased quite so much. It might fade and get a little dull, but it won't completely erase. So I think that's about it. This is what the backside of it is. It's from the Enchanted Forest by Johanna Bashford, and it was a 4-part, or maybe 5. It depends on how I choose to break the rest of this up. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm really, really happy with how this came out. So I hope you guys like it as much as I did. And now we are on to Christmas.